very special illustrators who have brought stories to life for Sarawak children. Ellie Yong, also known as Silly Jelly, is a concept artist, illustrator, and mural artist from Miri. She has worked on No Straight Roads and Onde Onde, and her creative journey spans live event illustrations, movie posters, book covers, murals, and board games, and of course, children's storybooks. And next is we also have Stella Wang, who is an illustrator, concept artist, and co-founder of Pipin Art Studio Kuching. And her work spans games, publications, animations, and interactive media, including the Children's Gallery and Putri Santubong visuals at the Sarawak Borneo Cultural Museum. Stella also teaches nurturing the next generation of artists while continuing her creative projects. And please join me in welcoming Ellie and Stella. Okay, now before we dive into our discussion, let me share a little about the context of today's discussion. So both Ellie and Stella are actually the illustrators for the Reading Seeds 4.0 program. As you can see in front of us here, this is called the Reading Seeds Kit. And the illustrations that you can see here are illustrated by Stella and Ellie. The Reading Seeds is an initiative by Pustaka Negeri Sarawak to nurture the love of reading from as early as womb until a child is 3 years old. So the kit will be given to families for free, and inside are storybooks, resources, and guides designed to make reading a part of daily family life. So the storybooks inside the kit feature Amelia and her friends, Dayang, Aaron, Lian, Xiaoming, and Mala. They are Sarawakian children. And through them, children see their own culture and daily life reflected in the very first book they read. And Ellie and Stella are the artists who brought Amelia's world to life. So firstly, let us dive deep into your personal journeys. Miss Ellie and Miss Stella, what first drew you to illustration? And was there a moment when you realized that this was what you wanted to do?
So when it comes to our journeys, we have a very similar but slightly different trajectory. So as you can see here, I started just having an interest in drawing, like chanting my own picture books at home, and then the Barbie dolls I had, also there was no belly button there, I go and chanting a belly button there. So I was just picking up a pencil and just running with it. Next. So in primary school, I was continued drawing. So I contributed to like the yearly school magazine, and I did a lot of like drawings on like people. And I was obsessed with drawing mermaids. So I drew the Little Mermaid non-stop all the time. And then finally, when it comes to choosing a college, I chose the One Academy. So in the One Academy, I learned to draw other things apart from just mermaids. I learned more skills, what is concept art, what is how to use color, how to use forms, perspectives, all that kind of thing. And after college, I went back to my roots and drew mermaids again. So there's a bit of back and forth. And then the moment I found out that I can actually make money from this also is when I started to next. Okay. And then from even just drawing mermaids, I started making merchandise out of it. So I made pins, I made a calendar, I made prints, postcards, and then I went to booths and I sold them. And then, so yeah, there is a viable career in art. Next. This is what I made in when I was 15 years old, when I was Form 3. My dad's friend actually commissioned me to make this, to draw Venice, an acrylic piece of Venice. I think he gave me about 3,000 ringgit. So yeah, this is when I also learned that art is not, like people always say like you can only earn money from art after you're dead. But I find that that's not true, because I think it's also down to I had a very supportive family system. I have friends who support me. I have dad's friend who's actually willing to pay money to support me. So this is when I learned like I can do this. Next. So I kept progressing, and then I went to do live events. I had clients like Calvin Klein, Bottega Veneta, La Prairie next. And also other works include stuff for animation, collaborated with Mossery, made ang paos. Quarto is a board game. This board game by a publisher and game designer in Canada. So I was able to use with my art skills, I was able to actually work on international projects. Next, so I've also worked with Subway. I designed a subway car where it's literally a subway on the road. I worked with Petronas to do like a Chinese New Year thing. And last but not least, a poster for Raya with Disney. Next. So in terms of other stuff I've done also, murals. So this is in Penang. The top one is in KL. Then that small one over there is in Miri. So like all this other art has actually brought me to many venues around the world to actually share. And now I'm also a concept artist in a game company. So we have already released our first game, No Straight Roads, in I think 5 years ago. So this year and maybe next year. Sorry, let me rephrase. Date of release is unconfirmed, but we are working on No Straight Roads 2.
Yes. One heaven out.
Yeah, so on this project, I work on the concept art, key art, character design. So it's a whole thing that we are working on. Yeah, so art, there's a lot of venue for art. So if, as a parent, do not be afraid that there is no future in art. There's a huge future in art. Thank you.
So how about Miss Stella?
Hi, I'm Stella. So this was me when I was 10 years old. So there is some kind of art competition that I have taken. I'm not sure what kind of competition it is, but you can see from the visuals that I like bright colors, I like cute stuff, and this is how I drew for that competition piece. Ended up, I think I won something, okay, but I can't really remember. So I don't have much artwork since I was young. So this is one of a few that I had. Next. So since young, I already know that I love art more than I have imagined. So drawing and painting is always my hobby, and that's how I spend my free time. And because I have very supportive parents and also friends, so they encouraged me to choose art as my major during my college. So, and then it is how it is like shaped me to become an artist. Okay, of course, I love movies and games. I always very into storytellings and to beautiful visuals. And also, I got inspired by different kind of grandmasters. Yeah, so like James Jeans or maybe like Miyazaki, and then Jin Chins. So all sorts of like very great art masters. And also, I got inspired by studios like Disney, Pixar, very established kind of studio artwork as well. So that became my influence, my main influence on this journey as well. So for slightly talking about my education background, so same as Ellie, I graduated from the One Academy, and we both majored in illustration. She was my junior, and then she's very famous back then because of her very unique art style and then the quality of work. So I admire her since a long time ago. And then I get to venture to the different kind of art style during the One Academy, and then and also it gave me a very strong foundations and then deeper understanding as a profession. After that, I chose multimedia designs in Swinburne University in Sarawak. So it just took me 1 year to get the degree. So that's one of my proudest moments because I get to represent Sarawak, Malaysia, to join art competitions in Seattle. Microsoft Imaging. Hello. Okay. Microsoft Imaging Cup. Next. So we get to bring the local culture from Sarawak, which is Melanau. We combine the local culture Melanau together with games. So we get to showcase our local culture to the world stage. And also we dress up the culture, the traditional costume in the exhibition to showcase our local culture. Yeah. And after that, I went back to Kuala Lumpur to join a studio called Studio Climb. So it's mainly focusing on animation work. So I work as the concept artist and key art artist as well. And this is some of the work from the studios. And we mainly focus on animation featured film. So this is some of the color script that we did. This is just part of it. There's thousands of them. So it's a very huge team. So don't think that I can manage to produce myself alone. So I always a team player. Yeah. So this is some of the concept art. So normally what we do for pre-productions is like, we need to turn this to 3D models. So what our job, concept artist, is like we need to produce a very nice 3D art first in order to let the post-production house to understand what we need next. So it takes a lot of time and effort in order to produce such art piece. So this is some of the artwork that happen in the animations. Communication is always a key lah. So before we proceed to the 3D models, we will actually need to communicate through paper, through visuals. So this is how we communicate with the people, like maybe they are not from local, but then they will understand what we try to convey. So other than that, we also work on visual arts for publication. So during that time when I was working with the studios, I also doing a lot of freelance projects. So one of it is publication. So that's how we actually get to experience children art. So this is one of the projects that we did for Dubai publications. And also visual arts for games. This is also from Dubai. And some key art for the games. Yeah. Okay. So I have set up studios together with my co-partner, which is Jiaying. She's sitting over there. And then mainly we are doing teachings, the next generations. So nurturing the next generation become one of my main goals right now. And at the same time, we're also doing a lot of projects. So one of the most proudest one would be the Borneo Cultural Museums. So we are the main illustrators for Children Art Gallery and Putri Santubong. So this is some of the highlights from the gallery. One is the main entrance graphics and the immersive videos together with the river guardians that we design. So most of them are interactive. And then the big wall painting together with our local animals and in the forest. I hope most of you guys have been visited there because it's worth a visit. We pour a lot of heart and efforts to these projects. Yeah. And then next would be the peephole exhibitions. This is very interesting projects because you get to know the river situation by just looking into the peephole. And we clean the rivers exhibitions, so the kids get to play the balls in this setup. And also Putri Santubong. So we design the panels, we design the character designs in order to fit in the Putri Santubong stories. And this is how you interact with the panels. It's a very advanced, and I'm surprised that Sarawak actually willing to do such things because I think it's very new. And this is some of the workflow that before we proceed to the final product. So you can see like there's a lot of art style we provided in order to let museum to choose. Yeah. And also some workflow for the big wall painting. So you can see there's a lot of indications in order to show our information and our drawing are accurate because it's to educate the next generations. Okay.
So as you can see from our journey and our art style, we are actually quite different artists, but we are able to work together because we have a workflow going on. Also, like, this project is massive. As you can see in front of you, there are a lot of books. So when I was approached to do this, I was a bit scared because as a sole artist, I am not able to produce all this artwork on my own. So I had to get some help. So I'm very, very grateful that Stella and Jia Ying came along to help me out.
Yeah, grateful too.
But so since we are different artists, we still have to find a way to make sure it's still a cohesive project. It's not a Stella, Ellie, Jia Ying project. It's a reading seeds project. So next, so what we did was I first came up with a orthography chart for Amelia, our character. So first we got the library's approval for the design, and they also helped us out with clarifying the patterns, making sure the patterns and designs are accurate. And then also I came up with a age chart for the kids, because these books, they come with books suited for babies, toddlers, different age groups. So Amelia also needs to cater to these different age groups to relate to them better. So, and to make sure like we are all aligned as artists and we don't draw like a different Amelia. So we had to come up with all this first before we proceed with the books. Next. So yeah, teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, so what an amazing portfolio. We're also grateful to have you as our illustrator. Not only local work that you have done, but also international works. I mean, as a Sarawakian, who hasn't seen the Putri Santubong illustration at the museum? So we can see that your journey starts from being inspired and then pursuing your passion and recognizing your opportunities. So my next question for both of you is that you've both worked across many creative fields like games, murals, animations, publishing. So what is different about illustrating for children's storybooks compared to other areas?
So for children's storybooks versus illustration for others, as we can see from this very simple comparison image here, children illustrations tend to be more stylized, colorful, not realistic, whereas maybe illustrations that's catered to more for a older demographic will be more realistic, has different context, different elements in it. We will explain further as we go. Next. So drawing examples from some of our past works. So this is Piper Fixity, a character I did before Reading Seeds. So as you can see, like the design is very clear, the eyes are big, the colors are punchy, the shapes are distinctive. There's not a lot of complicated design going on. So first you have to make sure your image and color attracts the kid before you can even want the kid to read the book. So that's the most important part. Next.
So this is one of the books that I have illustrated for a US client. So as you can tell, the story is mainly about the animals and they're having the lunch dance. So you can see the form of the animals, I turned it to very simple in order to let the children to learn about the animals in an easier way, because they only grab big shapes. So you can see the shapes is very distinctive compared to like the very detailed kind of illustrations, and of course with very cute and pastels and bright colors in order to grab their attentions.
So with our past, experience of working with other children books, we are able to like distill it and apply it for Reading Seeds. So like we apply all that we learned in the previous projects, like the big, bright colors, distinctive shapes, contrasting colors as well. So everything is clear for the child to understand what things are. Like we don't want them to be confused. Yeah. And with children book illustration as well, story is king. So first we will have the story or brief from the client, or like the library in this instance. And then from there, we will come out with a draft.
So because we had previously had early character concept art. So what we mainly focus on is like how do we turn the story into the pages. So we will need to come up with the draft first. So in order to get the approval first. So this is how we normally do the spread, and to show library, that's the overall compositions, and how does the text look like on the book. So sometimes exaggerations is very crucial, especially for children art. Just like what we said, we need brighter colors, we need very exaggerated expressions, actions. So you can see from here, this is Ellie artwork. So you can see like some colors actually represented some emotions. Like for example, yellow color representing like happy, like bright, but like for blue color, it's a bit more emotional, like a bit sad. So in order to let the children to understand better, we need to use all this kind of information to let them register what kind of things we're trying to convey.
Okay, since we were talking about exaggerating the illustration so that children understand what the emotion behind the story actually is. So let's talk about our Kitty and Doggy Amelia storybook, where jealousy and love are expressed through Kitty and Doggy. And for young children who may not fully understand words yet, because since they haven't read yet, right, the pictures carry much of the story. And how do you capture emotions like jealousy, worry, or love through illustrations so that children can understand what the story behind?
So with this, it's all about the acting of your characters. So like, let's see this one. As we can see from this image, Amelia is really happy. She loves her animals. But Kitty hates Doggy. But Doggy is having a good time. He's just enjoying life. So with this also, can see from here, Kitty is very angry. Doggy is like teasing her. So it's all about the exaggeration of the emotions and the acting of the characters. So like the upturned mouth, the exaggerated eyebrows. Even when Doggy is sad, like everything has to be very, very clear. And then so, as we mentioned earlier, we also use colors for storytelling. So when Doggy is sad, it's blue colored, it's dark. The whole page is a depiction of his emotion. But when he thought about, hey, there's hope, I can go find Kitty, the page brightens up again. So it is subtle and it is not in words, but you should be able to feel the emotions that the characters are going through by the visuals alone. Next. So after Kitty went out, got lost, she's scared. So it's all dark, it's gloomy. You can see the hair rising on her back. So all these things, although it's not words, it's what we can observe. This is how cats behave when they're scared. This is how you feel when it's dark. You feel scared. So it's combining all these things into a visual. So she's scared, but when Doggy found her and they're going home to Amelia over there, it's dawn. It's a new beginning. The sun is rising. So we also use the time of the day, the lighting to tell the story. Next. So this one I'm trying to actually explain, like even though it's dark, it's night, it doesn't mean that it's sad also. So here I deliberately depicted a full moon because the moon is guiding them home. Doggy has found Kitty and they're happy again. And then, yeah, it's a happy moment. It's sunny, it's bright, flowers all around. So more than just depicting emotions through this book, I also wanted to celebrate our local pets, our local animals. So the dog design and the kitty design, I deliberately chose something we see normally around us. So even the dog, it's not a pedigree imported dog. It's just our local little anjing on the side. But we love them. We see them on the roadside, but we want to teach kids, like, you don't have to look outside. You can always love what's around you. Not everything outside is better. The grass is green here as well. So, and the Kuching design, it's also just our little lovely Padungan roundabout cat. Yeah. Next.
Okay. So I think that from reading the storybooks in the reading skit, we can feel like familiarity. It's something that is common around us. And I would say that I think this is the concept of the reading skit, where culture and identity of Sarawak is main um, the main point of this kit. So in the Kita ke Kebun Apa Emilia, where we can see the local fruits and familiar settings through in the illustration, why do you think that it is important for children to see their own cultures around us, like their food, their home, reflected in their storybooks? And is there any particular Sarawakian details that you enjoy drawing?
Okay, so for kita ke Kebun Apa Emilia is a story that about Emilia go to Kebun together with her friends. So Emilia has friends from different ethnic groups. So as kids can see here, there's Bidayu, Malay, Chinese, Indians, and Orang Ulu. So we actually like put the culture identity into the character design. You can see from here, who is Dayang. She is a Malay girl, and she has very big eyes, and then she is wearing baju kurung. So as for Emilia, she's an Iban little girl. So we designed her to have we designed her in Iban traditional costume together with Kenyalang hairpin, because Burung Kenyalang is the identity of Sarawak, so we would like to include that.
So, and also, we want to celebrate, like, Sarawak, there's a lot of mixed marriages in Sarawak. So as you can see on the right side, this side, Amelia's parents, they are actually mixed race. Her dad is Iban, but her mom is Chinese. So there's a lot of elements, a lot of things in Sarawak that we want to show in this book. And then also special shout out to the library for actually fact checking our design and costumes. So they were actually the ones who made sure the patterns are the correct ethnic tribes and all that.
So we really enjoy like illustrating the characters because they are all very cute. So for this book, we actually also emphasize a lot of the kebun, like the nice sunlight, like in the forest. Like instead of making them gloomy, we intended to put in more brighter colors. And then also, we added some details on the character, which is the straw hats. So to make them fit more into the story. And other than that, I enjoy to illustrate the fruit as well. So for the fruits, we try to keep the fruits in the true form because we are educating the children to learn about the fruits as well. So you can see most of them look quite realistic, but then we enhance the colors, in a simpler form, I would say, so that they get to learn this at a very young age. Also, another thing that I would like to highlight is about this book, Postman, because it actually quite emphasized on the culture part as well, because we include a lot of different houses from our different group ethnic, so that you can see there's a lot of houses with different designs, and it's very characteristic based on their own culture. So also shout out to the library because some of the photos is really hard to find, hard to get. And then they are very helpful in order to provide us the right information and the right picture for us to illustrate all these houses.
Okay, so we have been talking about normal storybook so far. Normal, what I mean is just we flip the pages. So when it comes to creativity and interactivity, so like in the Where's My Kitty children storybook, where the children can lift flaps to reveal, as you guys can see, the flap to reveal hidden animals and making the story interactive, suspense, surprise. So what does designing this kind of illustration, how do you think differently about making this story more interactive?
Okay, so this story is about Amelia looking for her lost cat. So it's also about using surprise, an element of surprise to teach kids about animals. So as you can see here, like first Amelia is looking at, what is she looking at? There's nothing there, but actually there's a frog. So this is what kids will see when they open the book, like when they, yeah, it's an element of surprise. And so with that, it's an element of play with learning. So in designing this book, we have to make sure like Amelia is always on one side and the animals are always on one side. So there is some kind of system to this play as well. So other animals that Amelia encounters is like the rabbit, the squirrel, the hamster, and then she finds her cat. So yeah, this book is actually quite fun. It's always fun to include play and learning together, I feel. So I think also shout out to the library for figuring out something fun for the kids. It's not just reading. Thank you.
So it's not just parents not just read the storybook; they actually play with the children, right? So beyond our storybooks, your work doesn't stop at Amelia's adventures. You also illustrated the other materials in the kit that parents can use with their children. How do you approach illustrating something like a guidebook, like apart from storybooks, right? Something like a guidebook and chart that is meant to inform, but in a way that feels friendly and engaging.
So for this one, actually the more concerning element for us was time. So I actually had to enlist a few more artists to help me out with this part. Next. So like as you can see here, we have reading milestones, we have development milestones, and we also had a what do you call it, a guidebook for parents on how to read how to use the kit. And all in all, there's like more than 100, I think maybe 200 drawings, additional drawings. So we had to simplify the process to make it easier for other artists to pick it up. So next. So we have an artist who actually drew Amelia in a very simple line form with easy colors. So it's almost like a chalk drawing. So with this as a template, other artists are able to follow and make sure all the artwork stays consistent. So also going back to having the design in the beginning, it helps to be a guiding North Star for anybody who has to come in to help us out. And then I'll be there to actually like supervise and guide them on like how to make sure we get everything consistent. So you still need someone to oversee the artwork.
Okay, so this is actually my last question for the two of you. So from throughout this whole discussion that we had, we can see that you started by being inspired, and then you pursue your passion, and then recognizing your opportunities. So what would you advise to young artists who want to illustrate storybooks one day, and how to encourage parents to encourage their children to illustrate and also encourage them to read to their child?
Okay, first thing first is always be curious, like be observant, like what's around you. I would say the great inspiration is always come from daily life. So first thing is always be curious, and then be adventurous, because it's okay to make mistakes. Some people some kids maybe they're afraid to draw because they think like, oh, my drawing is ugly, I don't want to try, or maybe they think it's too difficult. But it's okay. Mistake is fine. So we always encourage little kids to pick up their color pencil anytime. Don't wait. As long as you like it, eventually you will become very good one day. Just keep on practice. And then be observant. Illustrations is about storytelling plus emotions. So storytelling is one of the key things for children book illustrations. So be observant is because that they know how to have the feelings, they know how to connect with the story. So this is one of the key things that I would like to highlight as well.
So for parents, read together with your kids, spend time with them, spark their curiosity. Like try not to say no too much. Let them play. And then ask open-ended questions like, what do you think happens next? Let them imagine, let their creativity flow. Don't give them all the answers. And last but not least, just encourage them to grow, because as a seed, you never know what this flower is gonna look like, but you gotta let it grow. And then you just nurture it as it goes along.
I agree fully. So the important thing is that parents should encourage their children to try. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. So, Ellie and Stella, we are now at the end of our session. On behalf of Pustaka Negeri Sarawak, I would like to thank both of you for sharing your journey and insights with us. It's been inspiring to hear how much creativity and care goes into every detail of Amelia's adventure, and also the whole of Reading Seeds Kit as well. So before we close, I'd like to remind everyone that Reading Seeds Kit, which includes these storybooks and other resources for families, is available through Pustaka's program. Families can get it for free as part of our mission to nurture early childhood literacy. If you'd like to learn more about how to receive the kit, you can visit the Lifelong Learning and Information Literacy, or LLIL booth here next to the Secretariat booth. Our staff will be happy to guide you. And once again, thank you to Ellie and Stella. And thank you to everyone for joining us, and hope you enjoyed the Sarawak Book Fair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.